is vipassana, contemplation. And both of these conditions are necessary, samatha and vipassana, concentration and contemplation, both are necessary for liberation. So here he says, now this last reason for disappearance of the true Dhamma is people have no respect for jhana, concentration. So you find nowadays some monks saying, what's the use of jhana? When you dwell in jhana, you have no mindfulness. This is utter rubbish. It shows a total ignorance of the suttas. Okay, then to continue. There are 5 things, Kassapa, that lead to the longevity of the true Dhamma, to its non-decay and non-disappearance. What are the 5? Here the monks, the nuns, the male lay followers and the female lay followers dwell with reverence and deference towards the teacher, that means the Buddha. They dwell with reverence and deference towards the Dhamma. They dwell with reverence and deference towards the Sangha. They dwell with reverence and deference towards the training. They dwell with reverence and deference towards concentration. These, Kassapa, are the 5 things that lead to the longevity of the true Dhamma, to its non-decay and non-disappearance. That's the end of the sutta. In our Vinaya books, there's a section where the Buddha was asked, do all the Buddhas teach the same? And do the Buddhist religion, the sasana, all last the same length of time? Something like that. And the Buddha said no. There are certain Buddhas who teach a lot of suttas and Vinaya. There are certain Buddhas who teach little suttas and Vinaya. And the Buddha said those that teach much sutta and Vinaya, then the sasana, the Buddhist religion lasts a long time. Whereas some Buddhas, when they don't teach much suttas and Vinaya, then the sasana does not last so long. The other point he mentioned was that after a Buddha has passed on into Nibbana, then it is up to the monks to turn the Dhamma wheel. So if the monks are diligent and they practice according to the suttas and the Vinaya and they teach the Dhamma and they spread the Dhamma, then the sasana lasts long. So in the absence of the Buddha himself, the sasana's life depends on the monks. So either the monks can prolong the sasana or the monks themselves shorten the life of the sasana. So this is an excellent sutta, one we have to keep in mind, that out of these 5 things that cause the disappearance of the true Dhamma, the last 2 are very important. We should have respect for the training and respect for concentration. And of course, if we have respect for the Dhamma, that means we have respect for the suttas. And if we practice according to the suttas, then the Sangha also is respected and the Dhamma will last long. Now we come to the next Samyutta, number 17, Labhasakkara Samyutta. These discourses are connected with gains and honor. Actually, it's another way of saying is fame and offerings. If a monk has fame and a lot of offerings, it's a great danger to him. So these suttas here are all connected with that. 17.3 at Savatthi, the Buddha said, monks, dreadful are gain, honor and praise. Bitter, vile, obstructive to achieving the unsurpassed security from bondage. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will abandon the arisen gain, honor and praise, and we will not let the arisen gains, honor and praise persist obsessing our minds. Thus should you train yourselves. Once in the past, there was a large family of turtles that had been living for a long time in a certain lake. Then one turtle said to another, "Dear turtle, do not go to such and such a region. But that turtle went to that region, and the hunter struck him with a corded harpoon. Then that turtle approached the first one. When the first turtle saw him coming in the distance, he said to him, "I hope, dear turtle, that you didn't go to that region." "I did go to that region, dear." "I hope you haven't been hit or struck, dear." "I haven't been hit or struck, but there is this cord constantly following behind me." "Indeed, you have been hit, dear turtle. Indeed, you have been struck. Your father and grandfather also met with calamity and disaster on account of such a cord. Go now, dear turtle, you are no longer one of us." "Hunter monks, this is a designation for Mara, the evil one." "Corded harpoon, this is a designation for gains, honors, and praise." "Cord is a designation for delight and lust." "Any monk who relishes and enjoys the arisen gains, honor, and praise is called a monk who has been struck with a corded harpoon, who has met with calamity and disaster, and the evil one can do with him as he wishes. So dreadful monks are gains, honors, and praise. So bitter, vile, obstructive to achieving the unsurpassed security from bondage. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will abandon the arisen gains, honors, and praise, and we will not let the arisen gains, honors, and praise persist, obsessing our minds. Thus, you should train yourselves. That's the end of the sutta. So here, this turtle, even though he was warned not to go to the particular region, but he still went, and he got struck by corded harpoon. I didn't even realize it. He went back. But of course, when the hunter decides to pull the cord, then only this turtle will realize that he stuck fast to the cord. So here in particular, this sutta is referring to some monks. Some monks, because of becoming famous and getting a lot of offerings, and then they take delight in that, and they crave for name and offerings. So they are struck with this cord by Mara, and they don't even realize it. They only realize it when death comes. When death comes, and then they see they're going off to a bad rebirth. But then this sutta does not only apply to monks. It also applies to lay people. Sometimes you are attached to a crave. You have this craving for certain things, sensual desire, the six senses, the five senses. So, just like, for example, somebody who is a drunkard, he is harpooned by this liquor. So he cannot escape this craving for liquor, or a drug addict. So he will not suffer until what he craves for is missing, and he cannot get drugs. And then it's as though Mara is pulling the cord, or when he dies, because of that craving for example, drugs, then you'll be born as a hungry ghost, always craving, hungry for this, hungry for that. 17.5. At Savatthi, the Buddha said, "Monks, dreadful are gains, honors, and praise. Bitter, vile, obstructive to achieving the unsurpassed security from bondage. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will abandon the arisen gains, honors, and praise, and we will not let the arisen gains, honors, and praise persist, obsessing our minds. Thus should you train yourselves. Suppose there was a beetle, a dung eater, stuffed with dung, full of dung, and in front of her was a large dunghill. Because of this, she would despise the other beetles, thinking, 'I am a dung eater, stuffed with dung, full of dung, and in front of me there is a large dunghill.' So too monks, a monk here whose mind is overcome and obsessed by gains, honors, and praise, dresses in the morning and taking bowl and robe enters a village or town for alms. There he would eat as much as he wants. He would be invited for the next day's meal, and his alms food would be plentiful. When he goes back to the monastery, he boasts before a group of monks, I have eaten as much as I want. I have been invited for tomorrow's meal, and my alms food is plentiful. I am one who gains robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicinal requisites. But these other monks have little merit and influence, and they do not gain robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicinal requisites. Thus, because his mind is overcome and obsessed by gains, honors, and praise, he despises the other well-behaved monks. That will lead to the harm and suffering of this senseless person for a long time. So dreadful monks are gains, honors, and praise. It's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha likens a person who has, a monk who has a lot of offerings to this dung beetle who's stuffed with dung, shit. In one of the suttas, the Buddha said that before he was enlightened, he had 5 dreams, like prophesying what was going to happen. And one of these dreams, he dreamt that he walked on a hill full of dung. And even though he was walking on this hill full of dung, he was not dirtied by all this dung around him. So then when he woke up, then he realized that in the future he will become famous and he will get a lot of offerings and all that. But he was not attached, he would not be attached to it. So if he's not attached to it, then he's not dirtied by all the offerings. So he likened all the offerings to shit, to dung. If you attached to it, then you become dirty, just like the dung. 17.8 at Savatthi. Monks, dreadful gains, honors, and praise, etc. Did you hear an old jackal howling when the night was fading? Yes, Venerable Sir. That old jackal is afflicted with a disease called mange. He cannot feel at ease whether he goes into a cave or to the foot of a tree or into the open air. Wherever he goes, wherever he stands, wherever he sits, wherever he lies down, there he meets with calamity and disaster. So too monks. A monk here whose mind is overcome and obsessed with gains, honors, and praise does not feel at ease whether he goes into an empty hut or to the foot of a tree or into the open air. Wherever he goes, wherever he stands, wherever he sits, wherever he lies down, there he meets with calamity and disaster. So dreadful monks are gains, honors, and praise. It's the end of the sutta. So here, this old jackal has got this skin disease, mange, which makes him very itchy. He's so itchy that he's so troubled. His mind is so troubled by this itch. Wherever he goes, he's not comfortable. So also, if a monk is obsessed with name, fame, and offerings, then he's always thinking about this, and he's always conscious whether he is famous or not, and whether his offerings are a lot or not. So wherever he goes, his mind cannot stop thinking about all this rubbish. 17.11 at Savatthi. Monks, dreadful are gains, honors, and praise, etc., like before. Monks, I have known of a certain person here whose mind I have encompassed with my own mind. This venerable one would not tell a deliberate lie, even for the sake of a golden bowl filled with powdered silver. Yet some time later, I see him, his mind overcome and obsessed by gains, honors, and praise, telling a deliberate lie. So dreadful monks are gains, honors, and praise. So here the Buddha is saying there's a certain monk. He's a very good monk. He would not lie even for a lot of money. Yet later when he becomes famous and gets a lot of offerings, he becomes a very different person. Then he starts to lie and all these things. So a person can change. So if